Hey guys, welcome back to my low light video test of the brand new Canon EOS 90D. So right now we are filming at ISO 100 and we are going to progressively stop all the way up to the max ISO of the Canon EOS 90D, and at the end of the video we are actually going to compare it to the Canon EOS R. I think it's going to be really interesting to see the Canon EOS 90D, which costs $1,200, stack up to the full frame Canon EOS R, which cost about $2,000. So right now we are filming this video at ISO 100. And now the video footage that you're watching is being recorded at ISO 200. And now our ISO is stopped up all the way to ISO 400. And now we are shooting at ISO 800. Now we are stopped up to ISO 1600. And finally, we are starting to get into some higher ISOs. So right now we are shooting at ISO 3200. And now we are filming at ISO 6400. And now we are filming video at ISO 12800. And last but not least, we are filming at our max ISO, which is going to be ISO 25600. Okay, so now we are filming 1080p video instead of 4K video, and we're going to start again at ISO 100. So right now we're recording this video at ISO 100. And now we're recording 1080p video at ISO 200. And now we are recording video at ISO 400. And now we have stopped up to ISO 800. And now we are at ISO 1600. And now we are starting to get high again, so we are filming at ISO 3200. And now we are filming video at ISO 6400. And now we are recording video at ISO 12800. And lastly, we are filming at ISO 25600 at 1080p. Okay, so here is some footage shot with the Canon EOS R, and we are shooting this clip at 4K at ISO 3200, and then here is the clip shot with the Canon 90D, again shot at 4K at the same ISO 3200, and I think the EOS R looked a little bit better, but it's really hard to tell. So I jumped up a stop to ISO 6400, and here we can see at ISO 6400, it's definitely still very usable video coming from the EOS R, and then here we have the Canon EOS 90D, and again we're shooting this at ISO 6400, and again both looks pretty good and both very usable footage even using these very high ISOs. Okay, so now let's take a look at how these two cameras perform at ISO 12800. So here's the Canon EOS R, and we can see the footage is definitely much more grainy than it was at even 6400, and then here is the Canon EOS 90D, and honestly I'm very impressed with the footage coming from the Canon 90D, very impressive low light. So here we stopped up one more stop to ISO 25600, and here we can see the EOS R is doing a pretty good job handling it, but we're definitely getting a lot more noise. And here is ISO 25600 on the Canon 90D, and here we can see that I did have to increase my shutter speed a little bit, and when I did that it started to really mess up the Philips Hue lights. The shutter speed I was using here was 1/400th of a second, so definitely very fast for Hue lights. Usually you want to shoot Hue lights at under 1/200th of a second shutter speed. That way you don't get that weird flickering effect. But jumping back to the EOS R using the exact same settings, we can see that there isn't that flickering on the EOS R, which is definitely very weird. But ISO 25600 was the max ISO that the 90D can shoot when filming 4K video, but here on the EOS R we actually have 2 additional stops of ISO range. So here's the EOS R shooting 4K video at ISO 21200, which is a very high ISO, and honestly the video quality is not great, but it's really not terrible either. I remember shooting on cameras when ISO 6400 actually looked this bad. And last up here we have the Canon EOS R shooting at ISO 102400, which is an absolutely crazy ISO to be using, and here you can see tons of flickering and tons of noise, and definitely not very usable video footage, but it's kind of cool to have that as an option. But overall, I am definitely impressed at the Canon 90D's low light ability. Obviously the Canon EOS R is going to be a little bit better than the 90D, but honestly it definitely holds its own, and I think both these are going to be fantastic low light video cameras. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.